What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Syracuse Aviation. Today I have at long last another Syracuse Airport, not model update, but kind of like a sit and talk type of video here for you guys. So it's been a long time since I did one of these. I think the last one technically was Sun Country, but that was just the Sun Country announcement. The last full encompassing video was probably I think it was whenever we got Fort Myers back on Breeze, if I remember correctly. So today we have a lot to go over. There's been a lot of new stuff since then, which is great. That's awesome that we have that much stuff. So I'm going to start today with the most notable new things, and then we're going to kind of scale back and go to predictions and a little bit less exciting topics, although they're all pretty significant. So we're going to start with new routes. Sun Country, we already discussed this. The only thing that we've really been tracking here is load factors and how many seats have been booked on the first few flights. We're up to, I think, 18 now for the inaugural on one of them, and maybe near 20 for the other. So it's been filling up pretty well, pretty nicely, which is great to see. That's all we have for Sun Country. And then Delta, of course, retaliates, and they announced Minneapolis-St. Paul service. Now, the interesting thing here is they're originally going to fly this on an A319 overnight. That has since been switched to a CRJ 900. Well, that is unfortunate. Pre-pandemic, they flew it on the 319. Travel demand has changed a lot since then, and they've added some extra capacity on Atlanta to make up for it, which we'll talk about in a few moments here. So if Delta retaliating against Sun Country and announcing MSP, which they already had pre-pandemic, as I said, but they're bringing it back. I think they announced it like a week after Sun Country did, which is really cool. Breeze Airways announcing service to Raleigh-Durham International Airport, which will be flown in accordance with Norfolk, which was supposed to be scheduled on the Embraer 190, like Norfolk was last summer, on Thursdays and Sundays. This year they're starting Norfolk sooner. They're starting it on May 23rd. And now that's on a 195 instead of a 190. So the 195 will be deployed from Norfolk to Syracuse to Raleigh to Syracuse to Norfolk, similar to what they do with Charleston and Las Vegas, which is really nice to see. Loads on that have been pretty good, about like Sun Country, actually, similar, which for being late February and those start in May and June, it's doing pretty well. So we have Breeze announcing Raleigh-Durham, which another note to point out here is Breeze, as you guys may know, looks for unserved or underserved markets. Generally, they go towards unserved with no competition, but Syracuse already has Raleigh-Durham on Frontier, which is 3 weekly when it is flown. Ridiculous amount of capacity on Frontier. So the fact that Breeze is adding service from Syracuse to Raleigh-Durham, which already is flown on a separate airline, I think that goes to show how well Breeze has been doing out of here, which is really good. Shows their commitment, especially to mid-sized airports like Syracuse. When they start adding services that we already have, that goes to show how well they are doing and how committed they are. Same deal with Tampa and Fort Myers. Even though Frontier came after Breeze, they still could have dropped it, but they're going strong, so that's great to see. Delta Detroit mainline update. It was A320 overnight for a few months. Now it's on a 319. And once MSP starts, which was going to be on the CRJ or the A319, now is a CRJ9, Detroit will also go down to a CRJ9 when MSP starts. And then that is when Atlanta is going to be on an A321 for the overnight flight. So that's big news for us. I've been waiting for the day when we find out that Atlanta will be on the A321, at least for one frequency a day. That's really good. So many people flying through Atlanta. They're really trying to focus more passengers from Syracuse to Atlanta rather than Syracuse to places like Minneapolis. So nonetheless, this is the best case scenario. Even though we'll have one less overnight mainline flight on Delta, we still got an extra destination from them, which is really nice to see. And CRJ 900s, they're not that bad, especially for a destination like Minneapolis. That's pretty good, I think. So we'll have a once daily A321 for overnight in the summer, and I think for once that starts, I think it'll be year round, and then the other two flights will be A320s. Sometimes in the winter it'll be a 319. But that's it for Delta. JetBlue A220-300 will be on the JFK service once the Embraer 190s get to be a little bit less in the fleet. So that'll be, I don't know exactly when. I think that's sometime starting this summer. We're going to start to see the A220s on the JFK service, which is really nice. I don't know about Boston. Boston is much less demand than JFK for JetBlue. Right now it's a once daily overnight Embraer 190, and I think the loads have been pretty good, but I don't know if it's enough to constitute an A220 yet, so I think we're just going to have to continue to wait to see how the airport progresses. We have Denver for United on the A320. When that service first started, it was on the Embraer 175, but that was many, many years ago. Then it went to a 319 middle of the day for the longest time. Years. Then they moved it to the overnight, which is real. I think that's very, very smart. I think it's a very wise move on United's part. And it's on A320 now. So during the summer, it's a 739, which is really, that capacity right there. Once daily, 737-900 for United, Syracuse to Denver, that's really good. During the winter, obviously, our capacity is a lot less because there's just less travel overall during the winter months. So 320 for winter months out of Syracuse, that's still pretty good. Same for Dallas-Fort Worth. Was a 175 for the longest time, then they put it on a 319. Now it's a 320. So I'm hoping to see A321 or 738 on Dallas at some point. I think it can definitely happen. A320s were selling out really, really nicely during the summer, so like May through October, they're doing really well. Mostly July and August for Dallas-Fort Worth, but May through October is really the sweet spot for Dallas traffic out of Syracuse. So that's all of the new upgrades, up gauges, and new flights for Syracuse. So next up we have airport infrastructure. I'm going to start with whatever happened first. So let me just take a look real quick. So the hyperspace vending area, if you don't know, it's if you watch my most recent trip report, the Allegiant A320 from Syracuse to Fort Lauderdale, it's that first little clip of the video where my brother and I are walking in there, and he basically is cussing out a cupcake machine. It's pretty funny. So that's the whole hyperspace vending area. It's like a nice little cubicle, not really a cubicle, but like it's a separate little area set towards the front of the airport near the escalators that has a bunch of high-tech, pretty much, vending machines. You can get ramen, cupcakes, regular snacks. I think there's even a pizza one, which is pretty crazy. But it's a really, really cool little area. That was finished in December, just before I had gone on that flight, which is really cool. The response from the public has been great so far. People like it. I've seen a couple videos where people have just gone in and just ate from it, just for fun. So the fact that it has that much of a pull from the public is really cool. Next up we have, I'll talk about the Qdoba Grill and Einstein's Bagels. So obviously, you guys may know the airport has announced several new infrastructure improvements and expansion projects at the airport on the airside portion of things. So this includes one spot at the end of Concourse B on the north side and one spot on the south side of Concourse B attached to the bridge from security to Concourse B. And then there's another one, which is essentially it's gate 11 in Concourse A, where Allegiant parks at the north end. I'm trying to remember which one goes where. So Einstein's Bagels is going to be next to the Escape Lounge. Actually, no, that's incorrect. Qdoba Grill. That makes more sense, because with Qdoba, it's like it's a Mexican grill, and so you go and you sit down at a table, or it could be like Moe's, where you just have them make your stuff and you take it. But I think there will be seating, so that makes sense. That's going to be next to the Escape Lounge, where there's actually space for a sit-down restaurant. That's going to be really good. These are both operated by Gideon Toll, which is a construction and management contractor. So you can look them up, and on their website they actually have some details on the airport lounges and restaurants, which there's some other airports, and then at Syracuse they also operate our Escape Lounge too. So that's really cool that they're going to be operating the same way, because the Escape Lounge has done very, very well. It's a great place, so I'm thinking they're going to do a really nice job with these two restaurants as well. Einstein's Bagels is going to be by gate 23, where that expansion is, where Delta usually parks the 320 for Atlanta. As I said, at the end of Concourse B on the north side. Next up, as I said, the Concourse B expansion, we are starting these relatively soon, and they've already been doing some prep work, kind of clearing some areas of seating, clearing it out, kind of just getting prepared for it. It hasn't started yet, but they've been doing some prep work there. I wish the airport Instagram would post more photos, because I've gone to the airport and seen things that are pretty significant, I would say, one of which I will address here in a few minutes. I've seen some things that the airport has made no mention on their social media, which has been kind of annoying, honestly, because there's people like me that actually want to see this, and even the traveling public. They blocked off a whole entrance to the land side of the airport, and usually that's the kind of thing that they want to notify the public and say, hey, if you're going to drop someone off here, you can't be doing that for a while because they're doing construction there, so you're gonna have to drop them off further up. They haven't even said anything like that. So I got to the airport one day to plane spot. I walked in, and basically that whole, under the SYR titles, there's one entrance. It's a few doors, but it's one entrance that's roped off. But there's another entrance around back that you can go to if you hook around. There's one door, and I walked in there, and there's construction crap everywhere. They're building new stuff. Like, it was actually underway pretty significantly, and I was told I couldn't be back there. Very nicely, of course, great contractors, but I couldn't be back there. But that's the kind of thing that the airport Instagram or Twitter even hasn't said anything about, which is, I just don't get it. But that is something that's happening. So Gate 15 is underway as we speak. That's going to be the new customs facility at the airport, so that we can handle international flights more efficiently, and so we can maintain our status as an international airport, which is really cool. So Gate 15 is that corner gate on the south end of the concourse. As soon as you drive in, it's the first jet bridge you see. That's Gate 15, essentially. So eSavvy, if you guys have heard of that, I've never been in there. It's some kind of vendor. I don't know if it's like Hudson News. It's probably very similar if I had to guess. They just have a bunch of crap. It's like a convenience store, essentially, in the airport. And I think it's a chain. It must be. But we have one at the airport, and they are getting, I believe they're going to be removed from the airport. You walk past there, they're either never open, or if they are, it's completely dead. There's just no one ever in there. So if I had to guess, they're just not doing well, or they haven't been doing well, and they haven't been able to pay the airport rent or something, so they're either getting kicked out because they're not doing well. It's something like that. All I know is that their business has not been good, so I believe that they are moving out. The airport has listed a concession opportunity listing on their bid section at the airport. So I clicked on that, and it showed the exact location of where that is, and then you go to the current terminal map, and it's eSavvy. It just makes sense. So they're going to be getting kicked out. We don't know what's going to go there yet. They're still looking for tenants. They want a local option. I don't know what that could be. We already have a good amount of concessions at the airport, including 2 more that are coming. So I really don't know if it's in our best interest to get another concessions. I just feel like if we have too many, they're going to conflict with each other, and no one's actually going to make very good business with the amount of passengers that we have being much more distributed, and then each place will have less people buying stuff. So I don't think a concessions is a good way to go. I don't know what it would be. I don't even think we need another store, because we already have like 2 Hudson News, a CNBC or something rather, in a Bond, which is landside, but either way. I think it would be better just to have some kind of attraction, like another small lounge or something. I feel like concessions just aren't the way to go. Or if it is going to be something like a newsstand, I don't know what it would be. If it's a local vendor, is what they're, again, as I said, is what they're trying to get. They want it to be local, because the airport's goal is to keep it feeling like a small town local airport, as Jason Terry, the executive director, has said. So I don't know what they're going to try to go for. I'll keep you guys updated, hopefully. Fingers crossed that I end up making another video like this down the line. And the last infrastructure update is the parking garage. So recently we had a video with Jason Terry discussing kind of where things are at this point in the airport, as far as passenger statistics go, and the parking garage, of course. And he said, essentially right now they're reevaluating development plans for the parking garage because of the influx in passengers that we've had. Now, his words were that the levels of traffic that we were projecting to see in 2030, passenger traffic, we're actually going to hit in 2025, is what he said. In his exact words, that's significant. So that's awesome to see that. So what that means, our economy lot has been filling up regularly. That's the parking lot that we built to move passengers to while we take down the current parking garage before we build a new one. That lot has been filling up before we close the main parking garage. So they're trying to figure out a plan to systematically take down this garage, and they even said, I think they implied that they wanted to re-evaluate the actual parking deck plans. Right now it's going to be 2 split garages with 5 floors each. I wouldn't be surprised if they either make them bigger, you know, like a little longer from east to west, or add another floor. But they definitely are looking into that as a possibility, because you don't want to build this parking garage. It's supposed to take a few years to finish, plus a few years to even start it. So in 2026, they're going to start the parking garage, and at that point, it'll probably be complete in 2028 or 2029. So basically, that 2030 passenger totals you're expecting to see in 2030 happening in 2025, we will have already started working in the parking garage, and you don't want to finish that garage and then have all of this extra demand that hasn't been met by the parking garage that you just built. So if that made any sense. It was kind of hard to explain what I was getting at there, but I think I did a pretty good job. So hopefully you understand that. But this parking garage, I feel, is just going to be undersized. I don't think that there's any way that we can, because they wanted to build out until 2040. They wanted that capacity to last until 2040. Then they would figure out another plan, which is probably build another garage. But that 2040 traffic will probably be hit in 2035 or so, or maybe 2032, 2033, which is relatively soon if you actually think about it. As far as parking garages go, it'll still be a relatively new structure at that point. So I think that they're going to have to just make these garages bigger overall to meet that demand. And that's all for infrastructure. Let's see. Passenger statistics we've already discussed. That was supposed to be a whole other section. 2030 levels being seen in 2025 next year. So 2023 was 2.86 million passengers. The authority said that that's our busiest year on record. It's actually not. Sometime in 1990, or whenever the Empire Air Hub was in Syracuse, we had approximately 3 million passengers pass through the airport. So they're a little bit wrong in that estimate, but relatively close. It was at least our busiest year in 30 years, so 3 decades. That's a pretty long time. I think we'll surpass 3 million. This January is supposed to be 30% above last January, which is a record year for us. I still don't have the exact statistics, but that's what the authority has said in an interview. So if all of these months are 30%, probably will be a little less than that for all these months. But if it's a significant increase as there was from 2022 to 2023, this time around, I think we'll pass 3 million in 2024, which is going to be pretty significant. That'll be awesome. We're already really close. We're only 140,000 passengers away from that mark. And when you split that up by 12, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but when you split that up by 12 months, that's not that many extra passengers a month. That's very, very feasible for us right now. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at all. I'd be actually surprised if it didn't happen. But if it doesn't happen this year, I'm certain it'll happen in 2025, which will be great. Now for air service predictions. There's not a whole lot that I don't think we're going to get anything crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if we see additional breeze to like some smaller leisure markets like Cincinnati or New Orleans, or I would love to see New Orleans and Palm Beach, but they've been very, very slow with expansion out of those cities, which is unfortunate. I wish they kept San Antonio. I wish they were still flying there. I think we could have a good shot at supporting San Antonio, at least in the summer. That would be really awesome to see, but they left, so that's a pipe dream at this point. Hopefully they come back, but breeze to LAX would be nice. It's a very long flight, but they do LAX to Westchester and probably Providence and Windsor Locks if I had to guess. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. So I think Syracuse, the LAX is, I think at this point, is our most underserved or unserved, our highest number of passengers service that doesn't have a direct flight yet. So I'd really like to see that. They've been adding A220s left and right. They certainly have the range for it, and we certainly have the demand to support it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, but I feel like they should have already done it by now. So there might be some other logistical issues that they have to work on before they can do that. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we see additional services to Denver and Dallas, like on a midday 175 or an additional like 5 o'clock rush hour Embraer 175 while keeping the overnight main line. I think they're going to be pretty slow to do that if they do. We definitely have the demand for it, at least in the summer, so we'll have to see. JetBlue to Fort Lauderdale would be nice, but JetBlue has been very slow expanding. In fact, I saw an article earlier today where they're paying pilots not to fly, which is really annoying because I don't know what JetBlue is doing right now. I don't know if they're anticipating the merger, and now they don't have those resources to support what they were going for originally. But they're not. JetBlue has been very, very slow, which is unfortunate. Southwest to Chicago Midway, I could definitely see our Baltimore loads on Southwest have been increasing exponentially from 2022 to 2023. I think January, maybe October. I think October 2022 was like 60% to Baltimore, and 2023 was like 85% to Baltimore. So yes, 2022 was a subpar year for us, but it was still very, very close, within a few 10,000 passengers within our 2019 mark, which was a record year back then. So I think that Baltimore could stand a couple more frequencies at some point here, at least this upcoming summer. And then if not that, then I could see Chicago Midway being added. I don't think I actually mentioned our daily Orlando service on Southwest, which was another point to make here. So that's been going strong since I think October, or no, actually no, it might have been like last March, and they probably took a break during the summer for obvious reasons. It's more of a winter destination for us, but that's happening, so that's great. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens on Tampa at some point soon as well. That'd be really good to see. So Southwest to Chicago Midway probably could be a 2 daily 700 during the summer, and we would probably be able to facilitate that pretty nicely. The problem with Syracuse is our gates are just filling up. Both concourses, although they are getting expansions, they're both severely undersized, and I think even after these expansions, they will continue to be severely undersized. Especially with Southwest growing as much as they are, Gate 1 has been crazy full. Like when you're waiting at Gate 1 for a Southwest flight, those passengers are spilling into Gate 3 to fill seats, and so that's not even one of the areas that they're expanding, and it's undersized. So many parts of the air side needs development, and it's just not happening. Even with the master plan, this is ridiculous. They opened this whole new master plan, which is showing that they will do away with the dual terminal, the parallel concourse design. They're going to do away with that, make a whole concourse that is parallel to the landside terminal, and then even has an extra little wing on the south side. I don't know why. That's like the 20-year vision. Why would you expand 3 hold rooms at the airport just to do away with them in 2 decades? It's a complete waste of money. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if that's been a consideration, but I'm eager to see how that's going to play out, because with the airport being undersized, adding these expansions, they're still not going to be enough, and then they're going to have to take both concourses down relatively soon when you look at the whole scope of the airport. Some things just don't make sense to me, but it is what it is. So that's all I have for today's Syracuse airport update. Obviously, again, as I said, not a model update. I might be getting back to that soon. Really, I was trying to get the whole concourse 3D printed, but my 3D printer that I just got is horrible. I mean, it really is. It's so many issues, prepping it, heating the plastic and everything. It has to quit and restart so many times. It's horrible. It really is. So I'm probably going to have to send these designs off to someone else to make them for me, because really this is the only thing I want 3D printed, and it's not even worth trying to do it on my own. So I might sell this 3D printer, have someone else make them for me. But anyways, that's a whole nother can of worms I'll get into another day if I actually feel like it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video explaining kind of what's going on at the airport. It's been a long time since I did one of these. Hopefully I can make one again soon if we start to get more media, covering what's been happening, or I'll even go up there on my own and hopefully show you guys around. I'd love to do that soon if I can. I'll see what I can do for you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.